I was a woman dying from a terminal illness. But to the man I loved, I was nothing. Even when I was alone in a hospital bed, begging for help, he was too busy fooling around with someone else. Tony Camel lit a cigarette. He rarely smoked, but the image of Julia Lopez from a few days ago had burned itself into his memory. He couldn't shake it. He couldn't forget her frail body sitting upright on the bed, holding a voice recorder and speaking slowly. Jason Smith, I'm sick. Leukemia, a serious illness. I didn't want to tell you. Your heart left me 3 years ago. Telling you now would only drain what little affection we have left. I figured you'd think I'm using pity to hold on to you. And you, so proud, how could you accept that? I have my dignity too. Hiding my illness was the best choice I had. But I didn't expect Latina Mera to show up with your child, Jason Smith. I didn't even let her in. That was our home. I wouldn't let anyone else step inside. I also didn't expect you'd take my interactions with Dr. Tony as some affair. That night, when you confronted me, I couldn't hold it in anymore and told you the truth. But you thought I was lying. Jason Smith, I wish I had been lying. If I wasn't dying, maybe we could have made it. That day, Latina Mera came to me wearing a necklace. The one you bought when you first started working. Matching couple necklaces for the two of us. Could you let her wear it? When I asked you about it, you cursed me, called me heartless. Jason Smith, all my warmth went to you. And you froze every bit of it. Latina Mera lost her baby. I lost 9 years of love. You tell me who's worse off. But I never thought Latina Mera would go mad after losing her child. She locked me up in a tiny room. I told her you wouldn't let her get away with it. And you know what she said? She said you were about to marry her, that you wouldn't care about me. I didn't believe her. Then I escaped. I found Tony Camel. I asked him to take me to you. But what did I see? Your wedding announcement everywhere on, every screen, every corner of the city. Jason Smith, the only one I ever wronged in this life was that unborn child. Beyond that, I have no regrets. If there's a next life, I don't want to meet you again. A life this painful, I can't bear it again. I'm dying, Jason Smith. Congratulations on your wedding. Oh, and don't go doing anything stupid after I'm gone. From now on, let's never meet dead or alive. The cigarette burned to the filter. But Tony Camel didn't feel it. Not until the heat singed his fingers did he snap out of the memory. Just then, strange noises came from the room next door. He recognized the sound. It only came from someone in unbearable pain. Now you know heartbreak, Jason Smith. Where the hell were you before? Tony Camel crushed the cigarette in the ashtray. For Jason Smith, all he felt was cold, pity, never sympathy. Bang! A heavy thud echoed from Jason Smith's room. Tony Camel raised an eyebrow and opened the door. Call an ambulance, he said. Jason Smith, what you're feeling now is not even 1/10 of Julia Lopez's pain. In the hospital, after waking up, Jason Smith remained dazed and unresponsive. Thankfully, nothing urgent at work required his attention. Carlos Garcia walked in and placed a container of porridge on the nightstand. General Manager Jason, please try to eat something. Jason Smith lowered his eyes slightly and suddenly asked, Tell me, was I good to Julia Lopez? Carlos Garcia turned his gaze away, caught in an awkward silence. What could one say about the private mess of the man who signs your paycheck? Watching Jason Smith now, hollow and lifeless, Carlos Garcia felt a pang of sadness but sympathy. That was a different story. Jason Smith curled his lips in a bitter smile. How could I call that good? Tell me, why didn't she leave me? Why did she stay with someone like me? The man shut his eyes, trying to hide the heat building behind them. The hospital room was silent, filled only with the sound of 2 people breathing. After a long pause, Jason Smith finally said, Carlos Garcia, check all of Julia Lopez's medical records and hospital visits. Yes, sir. Carlos Garcia turned to leave, only to hear Jason Smith add, and watch Latina Mera. Don't let her slip away. Jason Smith didn't want to see Latina Mera at all. Whenever he thought of what had happened between them, He couldn't tell if he felt anger or regret. Who could he blame? He had made every choice himself. The good, the bad, the ones that hurt others. But Latina Mera had hurt Julia Lopez. That he wouldn't forgive. Once everything with Latina Mera was handled, he planned to ask Tony Kamel for Julia Lopez's ashes. He would take her to see the world, one place at a time. What he didn't know was Julia Lopez had waited 3 years for his change of heart. Could he really expect she'd still be waiting when he was finally ready? It was a full month before Jason Smith stepped into their home again. A thin layer of dust had settled on the shoe cabinet. The air was colder than outside. "Julia, I'm home," Jason Smith said, holding her medical records in his hand. He stepped toward the sofa, but stumbled and fell before he could sit down. The thin sheets of paper scattered across the floor, and one word leapt out in bold red ink: leukemia. Every detail of Julia Lopez's condition stared him in the face. Jason Smith quietly gathered the pages and held them close to his chest. He slid down against the wall and, finally, let himself cry. Outside, he was present and decisive, powerful. He could never show weakness. But here, in this space that once belonged to her, he could finally fall apart. But there would never again be a Julia Lopez to comfort him. "Julia, I was wrong. I was wrong." Jason Smith curled into himself, red-eyed and choking back sobs, like a child with no sense of safety. He hated himself. When he had nothing, Julia Lopez had left her family and followed him to a strange city. He was supposed to give her a warm home, a beautiful future. But what did he do? Chased power and fame, bathed in applause, and forgot the woman beside him for 9 years. He even let someone as irrelevant as Latina Mera step all over her. What must Julia Lopez have felt, watching Latina Mera show up pregnant carrying his child while she herself was wasting away? Just the thought of it made Jason Smith's heart feel like it was being torn in two. "Julia, come back, please come back." His hoarse voice echoed through the empty apartment. "Julia Lopez, if I'd known it would end like this, I would have never touched your life. I don't ask for forgiveness. Just please, don't hate me." Jason Smith slowly pushed himself up, walked into the bedroom, and buried his face in her pillow, inhaling deeply. It still smelled like her. Clutching the pillow, the man broke down into uncontrollable sobs. It was in that moment he truly understood this time. Julia Lopez was gone for good. Meanwhile, Latina Mera was under semi-house arrest in a house in the Southern District. As the days passed, her fear gradually disappeared. Every time she thought of Tony Kamel carrying Julia Lopez's urn into their wedding, she felt a wave of relief. That woman couldn't win Jason Smith's heart when she was alive. Did she really think a box of ashes would change anything? Impossible. Nearly 2 months passed, and Jason Smith still hadn't come to see her. Latina Mera guessed he was probably still dealing with the aftermath of their interrupted wedding. If Latina Mera had known how Julia Lopez and Jason Smith supported each other over those 9 long years, she would have never had such naive thoughts. Another week passed before Latina Mera finally saw Jason Smith again. The man looked noticeably thinner. Latina Mera stepped forward to take his coat, but he avoided her with a sharp motion. Watching him sit down on the sofa, expression cold and distant, Latina Mera asked, "Jason, are you still mad at me?" Jason Smith looked at her and said, word by word, "If I had the right, do you know how badly I want you gone from this world?" None of this started with Latina Mera. Jason Smith had brought it all on himself. Latina Mera stammered, "Jason, I just locked Julia Lopez up for a few days. I didn't do anything to her." "Then explain this," Jason Smith said, unlocking his phone. The fabricated photo lit up the screen. Latina Mera's eyes widened. For the first time, panic showed on her face. She stuttered, I don't know." "This is your last chance," Jason Smith said, his voice numb, his heart too broken to even feel hate anymore. "Fine. Yes, I made it. If I hadn't, would you have turned your back on Julia Lopez? You two were done. Why should she still have that place beside you? What about me, Jason Smith? What about all those years I gave you? What about the child I lost? Have you ever thought about me? Latina Mara screamed. Jason Smith narrowed his eyes. After a moment, he spoke coldly. You were never part of what Julia Lopez and I had. I never loved you. Who are you to compare yourself to her? As for the child, even without that accident, I never planned to let him be born. What? What did you say? Latina Mara's face went pale. I said. Jason Smith stood up and looked down at her, eyes sharp. I never planned to marry you. I never loved you. With that, he turned and walked out the door. To the assistant waiting outside, he said, the Mara Corporation no longer needs to exist. Carlos Garcia's heart skipped a beat. He nodded silently, then looked at Jason Smith's thin figure and sighed quietly. Jason Smith got in his car and called Tony Camel, but no one answered. He froze. A wave of dread rushed over him. Even his hand on the wheel began to shake. No, that's impossible, Jason Smith muttered to himself, stomping the gas and racing toward the West District villa. Seeing the servants working as usual brought him slight relief. He stepped forward and said, Could you please inform Mr. Tony that Jason Smith is here to see him? The servant looked puzzled. Sir, our young master left 2 days ago. He's not here anymore. For a moment, Jason Smith's vision darkened. Staring up at the dark shuttered window on the second floor, he barked, Where did he go? I don't know. I'm just the one keeping the place clean, the servant said nervously from behind the gate. Clink. Jason Smith's car keys hit the ground. His tall frame collapsed like a deflated balloon as he sank to the floor. Tony Camel, give Julia Lopez back to me. Don't take her away, he mumbled, hands on the cold pavement, not caring who was watching. Sir, please, don't be like this. My young master left this for you. The servant handed him an envelope. Jason Smith snatched it, and when he saw the delicate handwriting on the front, his eyes went wide. Jason Smith, I asked Tony Camel to take me away. Don't look for me. Julia Lopez.